Sixth. Welcome to Disrupting a $100 trillion industry. My name is Karush Koilu. This is brought to you by Zayuk. Zayuk is a property management AI startup technology inspection company that has created our initial vertical towards HOAs. We have studied HOAs and the HOA system and architected a product that meets several pain points of homeowners and HOAs. A lot of it relates to accessibility. And through providing accessibility towards HOA homeowners, we've created some sophisticated technologies that and are continuing to that we believe reach many, many different landscapes. So this is disrupting a $100 trillion industry. The property industry in and of itself is there are different numbers. I've seen 650, I've seen $400 trillion. It's a huge industry. I believe the US real estate market is like the largest industry. Let me Google that. Real estate is the largest market in the world, far surpassing both stocks and bond markets. However, within the giant real estate bucket, the United States is typically the second largest, narrowly trailing China. Okay, well, that I believe is recent. I don't know if, let me see. Yes, shift happened in 2010. Interesting. And I have no idea. I'm asking, why did it happen? And Gemini is saying, one, the world's biggest construction spree, urbanization, 500 million people from villages to cities in just a few decades. Two, lack of investment alternatives. In the US, extra savings, you likely put them into a 401k, the S&P 500 or high yield savings account. In China, options are different. Volatile stock market. Regardless, they're two very large industries, and they're both, I believe, let's see, both their valuations are, China is 100 trillion and US is 55 to 60 trillion. And property is a very broad term. And people talk about Web3, and Web3 is a very interesting concept if you take a lot of the jargon out of it and more so think about it in terms of somewhat instant payments, instant understanding of what payments have been created through the cycle of a supply chain and being able to communicate that across stakeholders. That is not something that is just HOA specific or real estate specific. It's property. It's about supply chains. It's about management of supply chains. It's about making sure that things are how they're accounted for, frankly, because how they're accounted for and how they actually are at times can deviate. And that's the big issue that one HOAs face, but to a degree, many different entities face that. So our product vertical initially was HOAs. We built several modules around that to help the governance aspect between them, between governance, finances. Yet through that, there's several modules we created, as I mentioned, which are highly advanced. So we are looking to bring that to all types of property. With that being said, I am going to go through some current events in the HOA space. One, namely, Florida has decided, the House has passed the very controversial reform bill for HOAs. Let me see what number this is. I believe it is 657, voted 108 to 2. That is how serious the situation in Florida is for homeowners and how much they are able to communicate that to their local legislators. It is not a joke. And I think it's part of this, and Florida is particularly susceptible to these issues because it's known as a retirement hub. When you're of, it has, I believe, the most amount of 55 and over communities. It has an environment which is wet, high winds, humid, easy to degrade, corrosive environment. Literally, that's a literal. It corrodes the structure, whether that means exposed rebar, concrete rebar, or whatever that may be. It causes degradation. So you have HB 657 in Florida. I believe that in the Senate, it's going to have a much tougher challenge getting through the Senate. But regardless, it shows that the current system isn't working. And I yesterday wrote an article titled Millcoin, and people are stressed. And not only are they stressed, it's that the technologies to alleviate the problem slightly. And it's not about technology, it's about the networking aspect of technology, like social media, for example. Social media has allowed people to hyper network. They can go like this, restream across multiple channels, then reach multiple different users at each channel, and they're able to do that for hours as well as post things. It becomes just how you operate. It's not anything about the technology. It's just that, oh, this is a social media. It helps me communicate my message to more people. Great that a technology allows me to do that. I don't really care about that. It's just great that I have this new capability. That's how most people think. And with HOAs, there are certain types of technologies, just like accessible account balances towards your reserves, a living reserve statement, various different types of aspects where you are able to deleverage stakeholders that are able to leverage your data, not necessarily against you, but towards their own business models, towards their own benefit. And it's not that that is necessarily bad, except for the fact that your business needs to be hyper leveraged. It is an HOA. It's already in a disadvantage. That's a very difficult business to run. Community, decentralized community, consumer level residents or ownership, which are highly not just have skin in the game, but also it's often an emotional aspect with many HOA residents because this is their home. And for that reason, it is highly sensitive when you purchase something. I've mentioned this multiple times. When you purchase something and then someone comes at you and says, you suddenly can't do this, it becomes an issue, a thorn in people's side, and they feel very strongly against it. Additionally, we had in Georgia, I believe, what number was that? This did pass the Senate, unanimously passes the Senate. This is a very, this is a much less controversial bill. HB 657 in Florida was about making dissolution of HOAs simpler and more accessible to residents. This bill was about raising the foreclosure threshold from 2,000 to 4,000, SB 406. Foreclosure dues have not been paid in 12 months and exceed $2,000. And we have in Zayuk our first set of articles for California. I might do the second set here as well, where we are doing a timeline of different laws. And one thing that's very difficult here is a lot of people put up much of their net worth into these properties. Additionally, associations must keep certain records on their own, including 10 years of financial documents, right to inspect / copy HOA records, right to request HOA insurance certificate, fair notice of meetings, attend member meetings, access to your property, limit HOA rules regarding house composition, various different items. And I've spoken about this before as well. There are three main pillars to all this: physical assets, governance, and third is financials. Those three are very complicated. They entangle much of the issues, whether it's someone didn't understand the compliance documents, the governance documents that they agreed to when they purchased the property, or possibly the rules changed and the accessibility of that information wasn't so easy. And there's transparency and there's accessibility. Both can be, you can be transparent and still not accessible. And that is the issue with a lot of this. And the way that it's going to be solved is owning your own data. It is the most important thing. In the age of AI, you will want to own all of your data, and no one will give you the infrastructure to own your data as a property owner better than Zayuk. We are able to do it in take the physical and bring it to the digital, and then give it to your AI to talk to you with, to do various things, manage your RFPs, give you insights, manage your assets, whether you're in a property condition assessment for commercial real estate or a reserve study on an HOA or other type of property, such as a place of worship or whatever, school, whatever it may be. All right. So one thing I saw, I think we spoke about HOAI. I'm not going to be able to do that piece yet. Yeah, I probably can over the weekend. Let me see. I do want to get a new mic cover. But it might be a while till we'll do that, to be honest. Okay, so definitely want to keep putting out content. Absolutely. It's so critical. Stay tuned. All right. So proposed HOA legislation, HB 1036, HB 1035, SB 393, SB 107, SB 108, HB 62. These are for Georgia. HB 1036, Property Rights Through Ballot Act, allows homeowners to vote to dissolve their associations if 20% sign a petition, strips HOAs of foreclosure power. HB 1035 would prohibit foreclosures or forced sales for unpaid utilities, HOA fees. SB 393 would amend Georgia Property Owners Association Act to require training with the Secretary of State's office. SB 107 would provide monitoring of elections for HOA boards and require annual registration. SB 108 would require associations to offer alternative dispute resolutions before filing a lien. HB 62, Georgia HOA Accountability and Community Empowerment Act, strengthen transparency and accountability of associations. If you live in an HOA, if you are a resident, if you are a board member, if you are a board member in HOA and want to lower your liability, reach out to Zayuk. We are going to be able to give you the tools to provide your homeowners more information with easier accessibility. And if they have a problem that you believe can be solved with some automation, we likely can do it and might already have the module for it. Whether that's you need a reserve study done, whether that's you want somewhere to manage your violations. And again, we might not have the sophisticated AI tools in the moment, although we do have these sophisticated modeling tools to get you and your vendors accessibility to visuals of your property, survey grade level visuals. The infrastructure for AI is almost more important than having the AI at the moment, because having the AI, people might not even know what it looks like, but having the context that where a human could make a decision with all the accessibility of the information is very important. And that is not obvious how that's done. All right. So one moment. The Florida House bill and the Georgia House bill are huge. Those are really dominating the news. There's a few other headlines. One is 5 pending bills in Sacramento. SB 1238 proposes to add to Civil Code 2295 that HOA managers are fiduciaries to the board and members. Instead, managers are fiduciaries to the association, not to the board or individual members. The bill would also add 3 additional categories, which would require under Civil Code Section 4525 for prospective buyers. The 3 new items would contain specifics regarding the number of exterior elevated elements in the association and how many involve imminent repairs. And again, if you want to manage your assets like that, come to Zayuk. HOA managers really are going to be able to add a lot to their businesses if they use an asset management platform like Zayuk, because we tokenize assets. I know that's kind of weird to say, but we don't necessarily put it on blockchain, but it's behind a security infrastructure. Those requiring non-imminent repair, any requiring more than $10,000 in repair. And again, it's about accessibility more than anything. Balconies are only one of the 3 triple E's in most condos, but you also have pathways, which can be over 6 feet in the exterior, as well as staircases. Add several provisions prohibiting HOAs from spending reserve funds on litigation or threatened litigation with members or relatives of members. Also, deny associations the right to temporarily borrow from reserves to prosecute or defend lawsuits with HOA members. Lastly, the bill would greatly expand the EEE's disclosures, requiring report preparers to make far detailed judgments on building components than they may be willing to make. So if SB 1238 passes in California and you as a manager or you as a property owner are having a tough time building reports around your triple E's, Zayuk is the tool for you. Zayuk is a tool that will give you the opportunity to manage your assets according to the work orders and the contracts and the invoices and the service requests done across these, which is not simple to do. We also give you a reserve study context and do your reserve study for you, as well as provide you a survey grade level model of your property. These are things that will really give you the liability protection that your business needs, but also an avenue to scale your business in a way that you didn't imagine before. Assembly Bill 1184, the Homeowner Association Accountability and Transparency Act of 2026. Holy moly! Proposes significant changes to existing law. It would disallow board member email deliberations. That is a huge issue. And again, Zayuk gives the platform, I need to find out who's creating this law and reach out to them because it's not a joke. It's not a joke. We are here to give you the tools to succeed. And not just succeed, but lower your own liability. As a board member, as a HOA manager, you hold liability and people are going to blame you for things. Give them accessibility before they ask for it and don't make yourself work harder. All right, let's go. Require open session board meeting recordings to be available to members. Record specific information item be contained in board minutes. Require election results announcement state each elected directed term. Ban charges for unredacted documents requested and sent electronically to members. AB 739 proposes heightening scrutiny of management fees by creating Civil Code 5378 requiring HOAs to email requesting members a list of management fees. Wow. The bill would also add to the board's monthly financial reviews and annual review of the management fees charged to the HOA. This is huge. And then, if passed, the bill would further spotlight extra charge management companies use to make ends meet. Oh man, and this is again, it's all about data. You need to keep your data in a place that's for you. And it's tough to see the law go so heavy on this because this stuff will hurt maybe managers probably, but give people, if you know an HOA manager, if you know a homeowner, you'd want to decouple the liability from yourself. So that's my advice. All right, let's go. AB 1684 would add another protected use by creating Civil Code 4737, which would prohibit HOAs from prohibiting or restricting installation, upgrade, replacement, or use of cooling systems. Oh my God. This bill would allow HOAs to force removal of illegal installations, but not to restrict installations. This would create a major problems if HOAs cannot impose any reasonable restrictions, including solar installations and EV charging stations. Condo associations would be unable to stop owners from installing systems that could harm the building or adversely affect neighbors. These have serious consequences. SB 222 would create a new protected use by creating Civil Code 4737, which would prohibit HOAs from banning heat pumps or completely banning replacement of carbon burning appliances with electric appliances. It's tough. Those are a lot. Those are a lot of things. I'm definitely gonna write a little thing on that um, later. Not now. All right. All right. I already know what I'm gonna do the first video on. It's gonna be on exterior elevated elements. I'll record it tomorrow. I'll record a bunch of different exterior elevated elements, and we're gonna do it. That's gonna be it. Boom. I have to over tonight. Great. Won't be easy. Won't be simple, but we're gonna do it. All right. Boom, boom, boom. The federal court just ruled the conversations with public AI chatbots are not protected by attorney-client privilege. For HOA boards and community managers, that ruling has a direct and practical consequence. If you copy legal advice from your association's attorney into ChatGPT, Claude, or any similar tool to explain it to homeowners or community members, you may be stripping that advice of its legal protection permanently. Not a hypothetical, the real risk. What the court said, da, 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 public AI tool to create strategy documents about legal situation. He fed information from his lawyers and then shared the AI's output with his attorney. Agents seized his devices, argued that the conversations were protected. Court said no, AI is not your attorney. Conversation was not confidential. The chats were not directed by counsel. And now we are getting to a point where the law, because recently New York also, I believe, is considering a law that would ban attorneys and various medical advice from AI. And it seems like it's going to hurt people. This is not something I think we want to do. We want to lean into AI more, but we'll see how it goes. Why boards and managers are particularly exposed. Receive legal opinions on assessments, enforcement actions, contract disputes, and covenant interpretation. Managers field questions from homeowners who want plain language explanations of complex legal positions. Under court's reasoning, that single action could expose the entire memo and every opinion that went into it. A paid subscription does not fix the service. Set a clear rule about legal content and AI. Route AI through the attorney when legal content is involved. Train the people who handle the legal documents. The bottom line, the court in this case did not break down new legal ground. Attorney-client privilege has always required a real attorney, confidential communication, and genuine expectation of privacy. Well, so I think yesterday I spoke about societies are. I'm going to create that video tomorrow. I was just talking about exterior elevated elements. I'm going to create a video. I'm going to create like a real, like exciting video. Use my drones, do something kind of neat, which should be pretty fun. Okay. That will probably end up being tomorrow, but maybe today after this. So next is I want to put something out for myself. Wow. All right, let's try and post something. Post. Maybe just do it again. Something kind of similar. If you are a residential real estate developer and are having trouble managing your reserve studies, maybe your offsite engineers aren't able to give accurate. If you're if you're a developer, if you're a residential real estate developer having difficulty creating and distributing reserve studies on behalf of property owners that you'll hand off the property to, contact Zayuk. We provide the entire integration stack from the reserve study inspection to the software module to the handoff for the property owners. They will appreciate you giving them a tool which they can manage their infrastructure with in the context of HOAs. I'm really excited to check out how that is going to work. It should be pretty interesting. I'm going to have to study at least 2 or 3 different um, law by mics tonight and go from there. And then do it tomorrow. Probably can't do it today. It's just I need to write the scene more effectively. Chargers made a big move today. They signed Tyler Biadasz. I believe that's his name, how you pronounce his last name, which is very exciting. It's very exciting. Okay, so I definitely need like I don't so I got 16,000 impressions in the last week, and nearly all of them, not all of them, but like 60% of them came from one post. So it's important to keep that in mind that a majority, you're going to have a few viral things that really pop off. And it's good to keep that in mind. It's good to keep that in mind. All right, I'm going to actually just do something. Okay. The City of Eagle is bringing HOA leaders together through a new networking group. HOA networking group member Nancy Merrill previously ran on a similar committee when she was mayor of Eagle, had the idea come back to her after hearing a candidate express frustration with their HOA. She knows firsthand how challenging HOA leadership can be. She has served as an HOA president or board member for 3 different subdivisions in Eagle. The only thing harder than being a mayor is being a homeowner association president. My goal is to bring our community together from the bottom up, and that's in our subdivisions, and bring back respect and civility. You never know, and growth is inevitable. One of the topics of Tuesday night's meeting was HB 708 legislation that would automatically dissolve HOAs after 10 years unless members vote to keep them. Merrill said she learned about the bill through Association of Idaho City, a group of city leaders across Idaho that monitors legislation affecting cities. Would raise serious and specific concerns. HOAs would automatically dissolve on July 1st, 2029 unless members voted to keep them. Threshold depends on each HOA's CC&Rs, which require a 60 plus 1, 66 plus 1, or 50 plus 1 majority vote. If dissolved, assets including common areas, clubhouses, and playgrounds would be transferred to a successor entity, the lot owners, or a local government such as the City of Eagle. Never seen anything like it. And this is from Idaho. This is everywhere. This is everywhere. The entire country simultaneously, multiple states are coming together and saying, no, we're not going to continue this system. It doesn't even matter. People aren't even providing an alternative. Zayuk does provide an alternative. We provide a trustless system. We provide a trustless system for you and your property so that you don't really have to trust property owners or vendors. You say, hey, you want to work with us? We need you to log your work into our modules. That is our requirement. That's how we're going to write our contracts. We're going to write our contracts so that we get that data from you so that you can't leverage our data against us. It's very important. It's the future, almost surely. And It's what is the root of many problems is data availability, accessibility, how these contracts are written, stakeholder and incumbent privilege is very, very sharp. Okay. So boom, boom, boom. All right, everyone. Let's keep going. I'm actually going to cut it for right now, and I might come back later.